Hey, he's home.
I know.
Finally.
So for the live Q&A that we had on Thursday, right after the episode, I was at work in Arizona, and holy crap. Like, I thought it was such a short episode based on the formatting and how things kind of ran, but we were chatting with the
For
fans
a
for like
while.
45 minutes. So,
But I
there's
think we
quite
were
a
all in
bit.
agreement. It was kind of a letdown episode. Like, there wasn't a lot of, we heard there was going to be some
Major drama.
major drama, like the teams were going to meet up. None of that. So hopefully next week, I don't know. We'll
Yeah.
see. But
Well, I'm excited for these panel recaps because we
yes.
get a unique opportunity to bring on current racers, former racers that used to be current racers, but then also like fans of the show. And whether that's fans that have been watching from day one, season one, or recent fans, it's just such a unique concept to like explore the episodes, talk about how they would have done it, how they would have loved to see, maybe different teams do it, whether they're abiding by the rules or not. It's just a lot of fun to just get people around the table talking about how fun the Amazing Race is. So
Yep.
I want to bring in our next guest, and
Oh my gosh.
I dug deep with some
I love when you do this.
videos because when I'm trying to find things that kind of are unique to these individuals, I feel like this person is probably the queen of this platform. And I'm not talking Amazing Race, although I'm sure she's a queen when it comes to Amazing Race. And I'm not talking Big Brother, because that's where we, I think, first kind of saw her a little bit. But this gal might be the queen of this platform. Let me show you this.
Oh, hello, Mary Ellie. How are you? Oh, happy birthday, babe. Happy birthday. Oh my gosh, I can't do her sometimes. She's so iconic and I want to be able to do her. I hear from Ryan that you love a good charcuterie board. I'd love to know what your main staple is on yours. I'd love to share with you what is my main staple. I actually have two, maybe three. First and foremost, you have to get that little jar of jam. It's usually in the
jar
deli
of jam.
section.
The
It's
charcuterie jam, right?
jalapeno raspberry. It's got this little tiny piece of cloth on the top, and I'm telling you, mwah, chef's kiss. It is the best thing on the board, really. Anyway, I'm not bitter by that at all. I'm just saying it was my meats and cheeses, and I deserve to be the one to have it. And I was deprived,
Right.
and then it was gone.
They took her charcuterie. We're going to bring in the queen of charcuterie. And I don't know if you got to watch that video or not, but Angela, we were showing a cameo where you were reaching out, wishing happy birthday to a follower in the character of, what's her name?
No, the actress, the blonde actress. The oh my gosh, I can't do her voice like you did. You did.
Yes.
Jennifer Coolidge.
Jennifer Coolidge.
Yes.
Of course.
Yes. So I feel like you're like the queen of cameo. Like, you have been running with this platform, super busy with lots and lots of requests. Like, what has this been like?
Oh my gosh, I guess it's been over a year, and I love them. I freaking love doing them. I love how creative people can be with their requests, I just did one recently where this person was telling their boss through a text with my cameo saying it, that they're not going to be there, and these are all the reasons why. Like, ooh,
like they weren't coming in for their job. They were quitting.
Oh my gosh, that's wild.
And it wasn't about crazy eyes. It was about crazy breath. Like, this person was always over their shoulder, like looking while they were typing and like doing their work, and the breath, the hot breath. And so it was like crazy breath. Like,
oh my
gosh, so much
fun.
But yeah, Cameo is really a fun outlet for me. I enjoy it very much. It really gets me connected with people. And then shortly, like, there's been so many that have followed me on social media that we DM back and forth. And I've even had private conversations with, because their stories are just so compelling, and I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. And I remember I was watching you as a guest on Rob Has a Podcast, and they were talking about a unique cameo you have to do where you had to, what was it? Like
Oh, that was probably the divorce.
the divorce one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy,
Shut
like
Oh, yeah,
up.
that is
you
in the
delivered
works.
the
Like
news about like,
I speak to this woman regularly.
Oh
She's
my
that's
so
gosh.
crazy.
So
brave.
you
I
had
was
to
so
tell the
impressed by her.
husband? What did you say?
Oh, I basically pointed out every single thing that she knows about that she had been keeping a secret that she knew, because she needed enough solid evidence to confront him. And this was the perfect way, because they both love Big Brother, and they were
Oh
both
my God.
so shocked with the way that I can just, lyrically
my-
give it to you. And I
Oh,
literally did that to him. So
Oh
I
my
crazy.
couldn't tell you everything
gosh.
verbatim at this point, what I said to him, but let's
That's
just say I'm sure it stung.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
oh,
That's
oh,
incredible.
But
And
rightfully so. If you
yeah.
think the
right?
grass is greener on the other side, water your own lawn, or just fire, the landscape artist and say, I've got to get out of here.
That's so incredible. Like it's crazy how much people connect with you. Like I remember when we had lunch with you, 4 hours went
A
by
4-hour
and it felt
lunch.
like 30 minutes. Like it was crazy.
It
But
was fun.
Honestly,
you
I can't even go into a grocery store. And I don't know what it is. It's like I'm Oprah. Like I just get people talking and telling me their deepest, darkest things. And I'm just
Oh
like,
my God.
like I get sucked in. But
yeah,
they trust me, and I love it. I love that I have
Yeah.
that aura about me, that it helps people to talk.
Yep.
incredible. Well, we were inviting you and your partner on The Amazing Race to be guests with us. We had a little bit of a hiccup where it looks like this next guest will not be able to join us, or maybe in the middle might be able to join us. We'll see. But your cute daughter, Lexi, this was the video we were going to bring her on with. So let's watch this for a sec, because I still think this will be a treat for everyone who's tuning into our podcast. Here we go. Wow, what a dancer. And apparently Team Pink before we knew Team Pink was going to be a thing. Like that's
I
fun.
know. So, a little background on this. I, when my kids were younger in elementary school, I brought a talent show to the school because they didn't have one. And I grew up having talent shows at my school.
Oh,
So I wanted my kids to have the same experience. So I chaired and brought the talent show to their school for over 13 years. And
oh, wow.
so Lexi grew up in talent shows. She would always tell me what she wanted to do. I never overstepped boundaries. She would tell me what song. She'd choreograph it with the friends that she chose to do it with. And she was doing it since age 4. She just
Oh
was
my gosh.
amazing. So
I love
much fun. And I have all of those things on YouTube, and love to look at my
Mm.
kids, because all 4 of them did it. And so we even did like Dirty Dancing, the whole Patrick Swayze scene where he
Oh,
catches
wow.
the whole thing. Like CJ did
That's
that.
awesome.
Like so much fun.
Well, and I have to say, watching you and your daughter compete on The Amazing Race was so fun. Like watching the challenges, the things that you were still, trying to do together. I feel like it was unfortunate that we saw you have to leave so quickly after leg 2. Like that was tough. What was your greatest experience doing that with your daughter?
Honestly, I think just the travel of it all,
Mhm.
and trying to compete together. Like we've never really competed together as a team. And I think that just, you can say I only did 2 legs, which is, true. It was difficult, 2 legs, but there was so much time involved in getting prepared for it, and so much time going and traveling with her to these places
Yeah,
and competing. I think overall, the time that we spent together, kind of lifting each other up as women and as mother-daughter, was
love
probably
it.
the best experience I could have had with her.
So incredible.
Awesome.
And to be able to see your daughter step into a role that maybe you're not used to seeing her in,
Yeah, leader.
True. Yes, I had to definitely, a lot of the reason why our story for going and doing the race was because, she's moved away to Las Vegas now. I'm still here in Utah. She's my youngest. She's my baby, rightfully so. And
Mm.
I have a hard time with that separation and knowing if she's okay or what's going on. And so I think this was a testament of how can I rely on my daughter and trust her instincts and her judgment on what we should do. And honestly, I can sit here and tell you wholeheartedly that Lexi really surprised me. Like, I knew she's been taking care of herself and making her bills and all that, but
Right.
here she was stepping into the role telling me, no, Mom, we're going to do it this way. We are not following Chelsea's dad for the 5th time. We're gonna make our own choices, and we're going to follow what we think we need to do. And she led the way, and we got there before they did. So it was the right, I think we did, but I think it was the right move. Like, I was so reliant on thinking we needed to do one thing, and she said, no, we need to do this. And she was right. And it was not just one time, it was multiple times. So
cool.
Yeah, I leaned on Lexi a lot, and man, she's a strong, resilient woman. And I admire her.
I don't think this is the last we're going to see of her. I feel like she's just coming into her own. I think there's going to be more opportunities where we're going to be able to see her in different lights. So I'm so excited for that. I'm going to shuffle things up for a second with our little display here in order to bring in our next guest. So I'm going to bounce us around to different spots on the screen. And for this video, I had to go back a couple of years. And I love the fact that I feel like we are getting queens today. Like, we've got Queen Lori, she's the queen of this house.
I thought just our guests.
When it comes to like Big Brother and Cameo. And I feel like when it comes to the queen of tar podcasting, there's no other person that fills that role in my mind than this guest. And for this video, I'm going to go to a boss who says, I think, the same thing.
Hi from my apartment. It's Rob Has a Podcast. And now here's the guy who's about to do a full cast assessment on the cast of The Amazing Race 23, Rob Cesternino. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our special coverage previewing the upcoming season premiere of Amazing Race 23. And with me, as always, here in our regular time slot here on Monday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, here is the woman who knows more about The Amazing Race than anybody else I know in the entire world. It's Jessica Liese.
Hey, Rob. It is always a pleasure, and it's nice to have a regular time slot now.
Yes, we have a regular time slot, so that's going to be very exciting, and we're going to...
Welcome, Jessica Liese.
Rob looked so young there. I looked exactly the same, but Rob looked very young.
You haven't changed at all. You look identical. But when it comes to someone who knows this show so well, I feel like you're the queen. Like and you have such an amazing memory. Like, watching you recap episodes and the way that you're able to like add layers to things because of the stuff that you dig from like season 5 is like craziness to me. Like, I'm in awe.
I feel like I keep forgetting stuff though. Like, it crushes me when I'm trying to pull something and I cannot remember like the name of the team, and it was 2 years ago. I feel like I'm slipping in my old age. But
well, there's been many times during our podcast I'm like, remember that one season when that one guy did that one thing, and he was like, oh, Jess would know. He's like, Jess would totally know, Lord. I'm like, I cannot remember any of that information.
Well, and when I was digging deep, I tried to find the actual footage from this recap that you and Rob did called Race of Thrones. I could not actually find the podcast. I think it may be lost in the files. But apparently, and this would have been 10 years ago, June of 2015, you guys did some kind of an Amazing Race twist with Game of Thrones. What was that about?
Well, I was sort of trying to channel in the Survivor community. We have a thing called Brant Steel, which is an online Survivor simulator, and you can plug in whoever you want to do this. And most famously, during 2020, we crowdsourced Mike Bloom's tattoo using a Brant Steel. And occasionally they will do a Survivor thing. Like, we did one with Star Trek, and we've done Walking Dead, and they had done one with Game of Thrones. And I had felt like I wanted to see, because Game of Thrones has this universe that's so expansive, and like all over Westeros, there's all these different climates and different activities. I said, what if we did an Amazing Race simulation? And so I came up with teams, I came up with challenges and locations, and I brought this to Rob because this was before I had a child, so I had a lot more free time in my hands. Put up with this kind of stuff, and we ended up casting a season and then going through this race course that I'd invented and deciding who we thought would be good and who would be bad, who'd get U-turned, who would struggle with a task. And then in the end, we used random number generator to figure out like who was the last team standing. And it was a lot of fun.
Incredible. And I felt like such great timing to bring you on this week because we just visited Westeros, specifically King's Landing last week with Dubrovnik, Croatia. We're staying in Croatia. Now they're going more rural and stuff. But I remember being a huge Game of Thrones fans myself, watching what they were doing last week. And I'm like, those are the shame steps. That's where Cersei walked down. Like, it was just crazy. So then when I found out you had done a Race of Thrones, I'm like, I need to hear more about this. Like, this is incredible. Who won? Who won that?
It was disappointing, as many of the Amazing Race finales end up being very disappointing. It was Stannis and Melisandre ended up winning.
Oh, interesting.
It's like, let's just take the least interesting team and that'll be the one that wins. And that's what I used to say. Like, I try to be a lot nicer because I know teams are paying attention now, because it's been 11
teams are actually tuning in and hearing what you have to say about them. And
yeah, it's been 11 years, and Jason and Amy still give me crap for calling them boring. So there's that. On the topic of Game of Thrones, though, I actually, about 10 years ago, I brought a Icelandic language copy of the first Game of Thrones book to an event that George R.R. Martin was doing, and he signed it, and he's like, did you know they filmed a bunch of Game of Thrones in Iceland? I'm like, that's kind of why I went, dude. But he said he's never seen it. He didn't even know they made it in Icelandic. And so I have the only Icelandic language copy of Game of Thrones autographed by George R. R. Martin.
Wow.
Incredible.
I'm a huge Game of Thrones person. You may not know that, but I love it.
It's so spicy. It's such an interesting drama. And The Amazing Race, I think, is another great source of drama. I think maybe that's why we all love it too.
Nice segue.
But I'm not as good at this. Like, I haven't been doing this since season 21 of The Amazing Race, like Jessica Liese has. But let's get into the episode. That's why we're here. Let's try to recap and talk about this episode 6 of season 38, Amazing Race. It's called System Hacked Me. And they're staying in Croatia, but now they're heading from Dubrovnik. They're going to have some pit start departures that have about a 4-hour gap between them, which is, I think,
bummer.
I definitely think there could have been some improvements in leg design here, which we can definitely talk about. But they've got to do this self-drive from Dubrovnik out into the rural area. And we find out that that's about a 20-kilometer drive. There's like 25 minutes here. And I went ahead and I drew some underlines of who's driving. But were there any major surprises that came up here for you guys?
I think the fact that nobody could figure out how to drive the stick shift, because this is like the number one thing we always say about Amazing Race. This is the number one thing you have to know how to do. And then it turns out they just, to throw everybody off, they give them these wacky cars with the European stick shift, and nobody knows how to do it. Have to ask people on the street how to handle their own cars. It was a real equalizer, I think.
For sure. And Angela, if you and Lexi were still in the show, who's driving? And do you know how to drive stick shift, particularly reverse?
So Lexi's driving. She insisted. She hates my driving. I get lost everywhere I go. So she was definitely going to be the driver. She was the one that really did all the practicing for the manual. As far as pushing it down, it's funny because there was a vehicle here that we learned on that you had to push it down. And it took us a minute to learn how to do that. But she would have figured it out like almost right away.
I had to say I was cracking up by the fact, and of course this is story editing done so well, but talking about the fact that these two brothers own shipping companies and drive gas trucks and semi trucks regularly, and then proceed to
many talent. I had no idea. They have so many businesses. Like
They have so many. Yep.
Master disguise. What do you do? Like they have a lot. They wear.
What do they not do? Yeah.
Exactly. They wear a lot of hats.
Well, and I had to grab a couple of comments. So one thing I love about doing these live Q&As is we get fans that come on with us and talk, but then we also get fans that watch it afterwards and make comments in the YouTube chat. This was a couple of comments that somebody threw out. They said, Jag and Jazz, definitely shades of Lewis and Michelle with that reverse gear. And I felt the same way. I felt like watching Lewis make Michelle push the car in season 34 is just classic, right? Like we see it. It happened. They even brought it back in our season to show it again because it was so classic, right? But then I love that this other comment somebody said here. They're like, with self-drives, aren't the owner manuals in the glove box? I don't know. I don't know if they ever looked.
They would never. No team would ever pull out the manual of a car in the middle of the race to figure out. It's easier. Put it in neutral and push me, my friend. Like, let's go. There's no way people are reading the manual. Unless it's a challenge to read the manual.
I mean, I did have to give a little bit of kudos. I think it was Natalie who got out and asked somebody like, hey, how do you drive this stick?
Yeah.
And they were nice enough to show them. No one else seemed to bother to at least ask. They just struggled, which is frustrating. I mean, it's going to take all of like a minute or two to like learn or be taught, but you know. And then how hilarious was it to watch both of them get out and push the car? Like I wanted there to be a ditch
somewhere, and they wouldn't have.
I wanted it to go down the ditch. I wanted it to leave forever and like blow up something. I wanted something major, and I'm like, this is the trauma we were waiting for.
Well,
We've seen that in the previews 100 times.
Right.
Right.
Well, and I know that one of the race rules is whenever you cause damage, you have to stay there until whoever is the owner of the property feels that you've rectified the damage. That would have been an incredible equalizer, you know, for Jazz and Jag if they had to like hang out because they pushed their car into a ditch or, you know, I don't know if it went off a cliff and blew up, like what would that even look like? Craziness.
That's never happened. Like, well, no blowing up. I mean, something that's like major damage. I mean, people have stopped before for little things. Like even in our season, Han and Holden, and they were like, that's okay. Like it was like small little things. There's never been a huge, right? Jess, maybe you know.
Well, there was a team in season 7 that rolled their car in Africa and ended up like they injured a cameraman.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
and
my God.
But they didn't damage anybody else's property. They just damaged the rental car and the cameraman.
Oh my gosh.
Was there consequences in that leg? Like, was there a penalty?
Not beyond the penalty of like having to wait for another vehicle.
For a replacement vehicle.
Yeah. That was a big thing in the early seasons. Like if something goes wrong with your vehicle, you have to wait for another vehicle.
Yeah, I remember that.
I just rewatched an episode of season 6 where they drove those janky like Cold War era Eastern European cars and they kept breaking down and they had to wait for new ones.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy. Well, and I know in our season we hit a bird like that sidelined us for 6 minutes while we were waiting for things to get fixed there. And that was the leg we left on because we lost by 6 minutes. So
you can blame the bird.
It's the bird.
It's the bird. The bird had it out for us.
It was the bird. Something else though with driving wise, I thought these ladies were sitting a little close to the steering wheel. Was anyone else concerned about how close in proximity like Natalie and Rubina seem to be on their position?
I mean, I know they're tiny little petite ladies, but that is so unsafe to sit with your arms this close. Like you need a little, it made me worried for them. Honestly, I was like, girls, I mean, Rubina's not so much. It was
more Natalie.
Yeah. Natalie's just like right there. I'm like, Natalie, that's so dangerous.
Well, they get to the fountain area. They're searching all over to try to find their next clue.
Beautiful area.
Beautiful. Yeah. I mean, there was rain for some of the teams. Others were arriving apparently maybe 2, 3, 4 hours later. Not as much rain.
Oh my gosh.
But I thought this was fun, that there was just a small, subtle decoration that maybe didn't jump out to you.
Well, it didn't jump out to Jack because he had his hand on it a few times. Was like, where is the clue? But it was beautiful. I love that it wasn't a box. Like I love that was a pretty, it was beautiful. It was so different. It was unique. I loved it. They don't do that enough, I don't think.
And I like that when they make them work for it. My favorite kind of clues are the ones where they just hand you like a postcard or a coin, and it's like, go figure this out. Or, a couple episodes ago, we had the chess piece, and they had to figure out that you had to unscrew it.
That kind of gives it.
Yeah. It's a little more of a like scavenger hunt feel to it.
Yes. Well, they almost went in the water. Who was it? That was like, is it in the water?
Oh, no. So Chelsea's standing on the fence.
Yeah, Chelsea's like, is it in the water?
Yes,
jump in the water, Chelsea.
And she literally stepping back and forth over the pot, trying to figure out, where is this clue at? Like, they're literally both hovering all around this pot till they finally figured it out.
I know, hindsight.
And I felt like they were thrown off because, again, racer mentality, sometimes with race binders on, you're following the team in front of you. So they get there right as the other team is leaving with Izzy and Paige, and they think, oh, they must be still going on their way to the clue. And then luckily Chelsea sees that Izzy's got the clue, and she's like, oh, it must be back there somewhere. But then where? Like, I don't know. Like, it was crazy. So from there, they're choosing between detours, right? They've got to choose between bag it up or pull it up. I'm just going to throw this out to you, Angela. What would you and Lexi have chosen? Like, what's your thought process here as far as what you think?
Probably bag it up.
Why?
Going out on the water and trying to pull things up. I don't know. I've watched enough Amazing Race to see it can go really sideways. So I feel like we would have just tried to do the labor intensive thing. Bag it up.
What are your thoughts, Jessica?
Well, that's kind of the common trope in Amazing Race, is if you've got two tasks, one of them requires a little bit of skill, and if you know how to do it or you're good at it, you could get it done fast. Or there's one where it's going to take everybody pretty much the exact same amount of time. Do the one where you know how long it's going to take you. And I think most of the teams, although this one does appear to be pretty evenly balanced, because as you've labeled here, we were like first, second, third, fourth were alternating according to who did the detours. And I don't love it when we have two detours and one team just gets screwed by doing the wrong one.
Yeah.
Right. Like last week when we saw Hannah and Simone questioning, like, do we need to not cut the fish, instead go do the other physical challenge because we seem to be struggling with the skill base here.
Right.
And then they realize, well, we got to just go back and do it. In this one, I agree with you. I feel like there was a physicality to bag it up, and then with pull it up, again, you watch enough Amazing Race, when it comes to boats, there's a variable there that not everyone's necessarily going to be amazing at on the Amazing Race. And so the idea of like having to coordinate those oars and stuff, I mean, clearly Kylan was struggling with that. I did think the girls were geniuses, and I'll show this slide, in the fact that they stood up. Oh, here it is. One on each side. Like that to me was a brilliant adaptation versus trying to do the one man.
Yeah.
And it was raining. It was probably more difficult when they actually did it than when they were practicing it. The weather was terrible the whole time they were there, unfortunately.
It was essentially 10 bags between 20 and 21 pounds of this salt that you had to do. I felt like my frustration here was there could have been a better design to this leg. Did you have thoughts about this, Jessica, about how this would run better?
Well, I think we needed an equalization point. Like, I think when there's a team that's behind another one by 4.5 hours, and this has been a problem this season,
whole season.
I think Angela's going to agree with me on this.
I'm not shaking my head. Yes,
because it really seems like we're having more and more legs where if you were in the front in the last leg, you are not in danger at any point in the next one. And I know people kind of bag on the bunching situation where, like, in the early seasons, it used to be every single episode you'd show up at like 4:30 p.m. and they'd say like hours of operation at this landmark, 5 p.m. and you'd have to wait for everybody to get there. But I think in this case, the way that everything's been stratified according to like who gets on what flight or who gets on what train. They really needed to do something about that.
And
Well,
also, I'll piggyback
go ahead,
on that
Angela.
thought too, because if you're way in the front, you're getting all this, the cameras are rolling, it's got to move. So you're seeing all the front runners, a lot of what's happening with them and their stories. And then the people that are kind of lagging in the back, it's like, just seconds of seeing them get to finish the competition or whatever that challenge was. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
yeah, I wish there was a little more equalizers, not just because of missing a train, not for me. I mean,
Right.
just for the people that are there now. I would have loved to have seen an equalizer put in.
Well,
we don't see the back two teams in this episode until like
No.
35 minutes in.
That's my point.
Right.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Awful.
Ridiculous.
Well, and at that point, the front runners are also finishing. Like, it's craziness that like teams are finishing the leg before some teams seem to have even started the leg, or briefly there's some overlap between the two as far as viewing, but it seems too longitudinal, too sequential, right? I feel like, so one fan did say, well, there was an equalizer in the last leg. They had a chartered flight that they were all on because transportation situation fell through and they had to get all of them to Dubrovnik. So there was an equalizer. But then you design a U-turn that's designed to create these stratifications or this delineation between teams that ends up being 4 hours. You have to, I feel like, as a production crew, compensate for that in the design of the next leg. And I think it could have been very easily, knowing that there was a U-turn, 4 hours, you let everyone start a little earlier, and you have hours of operation for the salt and hours of operation at the marina where the boats are, both at 9 a.m. Boom, right?
You don't even have to do that. You could just have hours of operation at the garden.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So then they're all held back there and then released in streams,
Could they do that just like they're in the middle of filming? They just saw this big dramatic thing. Can't they be like, hey guys, this is going to be really good TV. Like, shouldn't we just make a quick equalizer right here? Like, can't they just do that in the middle of filming, or is that too much?
That's going to end up being too much because they have to plan this stuff out so carefully, so far in advance. And sometimes when something happens in a serendipitous way, it kind of makes you think, oh, well, they must have engineered that. Or, back when we had the non-elimination legs, the same team would get non-eliminated several times and we'd think, oh, well, that team is clearly like they're rigging the race for them. And it is impossible to rig the Amazing Race because there's just
absolutely
so much that goes into it.
Yeah.
But I do think they know this could be a problem. And they can't necessarily engineer it so that we get our Jag and Jazz and Izzy and Paige confrontation.
Yeah.
But they do have to know they've done this. This is not the first season of the show. They should know by now that if they're not leaving a country and we're not going to have a big travel equalizer, they need to find some way so that the teams in the back are not completely in the back.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and I also think that like when we went, we were supposed to do something, and because of the weather, they changed it. I feel like in their plan, they should always have the main A plan we're doing, but just in case this happens, we have B and C. Like changing it by 2 or 3 hours, I don't think would have been a very difficult thing for the production team to do. I mean, I don't know anything about it. I'm just saying, just that alone could have just like flipped this whole episode and made it a little bit more entertaining. That's why I'm like, well, what was that plan B and C? Like, because the weather was bad. Like, what if there was thunder and lightning? They had to have stopped it, or there has to be a plan B and C then, right? Or is there not? I don't know.
Well, I mean, Miami at the end of our season shows that there's got to be plan
4 days.
D, E, but I do agree. And I threw the graphic up there from Arnold. He was one of the ones that commented on that live Q&A where he said, you got to remember, and this is exactly echoing what Jessica just said, back in the game show era where fixation of these things, where game shows were being produced to give certain winners the win, there's heavy regulation. So this stuff has to be designed and strategized so well in advance and not deterred very much from that for fear that you're going to get that scrutiny. But again, I feel like Jess again just said, with experience on your side, you've got to know I'm staying in the same country. I just had a U-turn. There's going to be these time separations. You've got to plan for that. And I feel like this challenge was catered towards all 8 teams could have chosen bag it up. There were 8 shovels there. And there was rules that stated each team could only use one shovel.
There should have been 2 shovels or something. I don't know.
Well, no, like leave it as 8, but bunch everyone together so that they're all
fighting it to weigh the one scale. Okay. Yeah.
Like, it would have been funny to me if you couldn't weigh every single bag because you don't want to waste that time waiting in the queue
Standing
to
in
weigh
line.
your bag.
Mm-hmm.
Now all of a sudden you risk, this feels close enough. Maybe we'll take it 750 meters to where we have to deliver it. And then that's where we're wrong. Like, I felt like there were very few teams failing. And the only reason they were failing was not based on weight. It was because the bags tore because they weren't sealed right. You know?
Yeah, this could have been harder.
Yeah.
Like, and sort of like we talked about it on our recap this week about the kind of tough as nailsification of it all. Like, we could have made it so that they had to know by holding it, like you had to take it across the field to weigh it.
Yeah.
Made it that much harder and more frustrating. And we got a lot of frustration that was really entertaining. Don't get me wrong. I'm not, but I feel like this could have been like maybe one tick harder. And we wouldn't have, I don't even think we would have switched up the order at all.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, and there were definitely a couple of teams that had to go back and redo some bags. So it wasn't it wasn't too easy, but it definitely could have been a little bit more challenging, a little harder, and it would have been more interesting for sure, especially given how far they had to run back and forth between these 2 spots, right? Well, despite that, there were still some teams that made this challenge harder than it needed to be. Like, you've still got Jag and Jazz pushing their car in backwards because they don't know how to reverse it. And then, of course, unfortunately, Izzy and Paige dumped their load and had to, kind of recalibrate things. But it's okay to kick the wheelbarrow when you're frustrated and mad, right?
Feel your feelings.
That's right. Over on the flip side, I do think the harder challenge was the oysters.
Yeah.
It was tough to get the boat out there. It was tough to then pull up all the stuff that you had to pull up and then get it back. But despite that, I was impressed that Kylan and Taylor actually arrived at their detour in 3rd, but because Jag and Jazz had to take 2 attempts on theirs, Kylan and Taylor gained a little bit of ground here by not giving up. They just kind of stuck with it. They got it done, and we move on. So from there, they've got to go to Park Camardo, and beautiful set in the, hills right there against this great wall that is the, boundary for this, town. They've got to do the roadblock, and who knows their way around Croatia, right? Who's doing this one, Angela? You or Lexi?
Probably me, because it'd probably be me. I think, I was giving Lexi, our deal going into it was she would do the ones that were heights and things that were a little bit more scary for me. But this one, I think I could have navigated through.
What about you, Jess? If you're competing on this, who would you be competing with if you raced on the Amazing Race?
Well, for starters, I probably would never go on the Amazing Race because not only do I not know how to drive stick, I do not know how to drive. So there is that. But I've been told by my 9-year-old son that I'm not allowed to go on the Amazing Race with anybody but him. So it will be another 9 years before I can even try if I want to.
Oh, that's adorable.
He's cute.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm hothousing him. Like, from birth, I've been raising him.
That's right.
He's like a career tribute for the Amazing Race.
He's well trained. He knows the rules of the Amazing Race.
I love it.
Right?
Yeah, but this is a me one because I'm the memory person. I'm the trivia person. Okay. And I thought we cover over the summer. I cover Amazing Race Canada, which is really a labor of love, and we have an expression that we use when we're describing challenges in Amazing Race Canada. It's an amazing Chamber of Commerce task because it feels like something like you would have your local corporate team building exercise doing something like this, and this one felt a little bit low effort, to be honest. I liked the incorporation of the relief map. And I liked the idea of having to memorize a lot of numbers and then spit them back, but it was the having to remember the units was a little cheap, and the having to and the clip art of the shield, the Croatian facts, like this looks like somebody's 5th grade history project.
A little too artsy
Art
craftsy.
project.
Yeah, they didn't even. You really weren't even trying here. Like they printed this out and Xeroxed it and like pasted it on with Mod Podge.
Yeah, they Mod Podged that. Yep. That's exactly what I said. I was like, my 10-year-old could have painted the checkerboard better. Like, you can't, like, there's no, like, tape and just, like, make the line. I don't know. I thought it was kind of, I did like how they changed the questions, though. That was the best part of this challenge.
Oh, yeah. That was
that
fun.
you could come back and have completely different questions. You're like, oh, shoot. Like, that would have thrown me off because I'm like, I'm memorizing something and then, oh, I got that one wrong. I'm going to come back and say feet or whatever. And then they're like, oh, sorry. And I'm like, what? Yeah, wrong.
Jess, I wanted to ask you, is this the first time we've had a memory challenge around questions where they did shuffle? I felt like it was. I didn't remember that being something we've seen before.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen it before either. But I think we've had stuff where like they don't even tell you that you're going to have to know these things. And then they ask you and it's a surprise. And there was one where like the beginning of season 13, they were in Brazil and they had to climb up all of these steps. And then it said, answer a trivia question when you get to the top. And like nobody had been given any trivia whatsoever. And they get up the top and the guy says, how many steps have you climbed?
Oh.
And nobody knew. They had to go back down. But I loved the strategy of this. I loved how we got to see some people like making assumptions and then ending up getting dinged about those assumptions. Like Taylor, for example, saying, I'm going to figure out what they're going to ask me and then go back. Because I feel like, again, this is like incremental changes that the race is making to adjust for the fact that people know how things usually go.
Yeah.
And I like that a lot.
Well, and I love the fact that she's like, oh yeah, I hacked the system. And then little bit of, oh no, the system hacked me. But I love that. I love the fact that Jazz figured it out immediately.
That was awesome.
He did hack the system by saying, hey, why don't I go test again and see if it's the same subset of questions? And if it is, then I know, and then I'll go find those answers.
Right.
Like that was genius. Like I felt like that was something I would, again, with race finders, I would not have registered that as a possibility of like what I should do,
This is my favorite thing when somebody breaks a challenge like that.
Yeah. And I think it bodes well for them because we see them get in and out quickly, whereas Taylor struggles. And now that positions change that we saw happen prior to the detour or after the detour is now juxtapositioned the other way, which is good. Frustrated or liking the fact that we saw some working together going on here, both on the challenge and afterwards between these two teams? Thoughts on this?
I'm happy with it. I love that. I love to watch that happen. I love the dynamic of it.
I think up to the point where they're not, when you have another team there and you need to work together, I think until the point where it's hurting your own race to do it, or when you're in danger. And at this point, they know they're not in danger. They know there's a ton of teams behind them. They know there's a pretty big spread back there. And they also, it's going to get them both through it faster. Like if one of them was, I think the part at the end where they're waiting around for each other is the part where I would say this is not advisable.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I felt like we see it played well here in the sense that I think Adam recognizes that he's struggling with his diabetes. He's a physical challenge running around like I need to conserve some energy. He's smart to sit down on the stairs and study the questions. But then he returns the favor to Stephanie, I feel like, by like drilling with her the questions as they're running from one stop to the other. So it's not like one team's abusing the assistance of another team. I felt like there was a good give and go there. But I do agree with you. The point at which they've got directions and they've got to separate. I'm not telling Lori to circle back around and help another team so we can drive together to the pit stop. Like that doesn't happen on The Amazing Race. Like that seems hokey. That seems silly, right?
And it wouldn't have happened if they were in the front or the back. Sorry, Angela, what'd you say?
Oh no, even though they knew they had several teams behind them, it still's not advisable because you don't know the route on where you're going to the pit stop. You could have gotten lost.
Yep.
Yeah. What if you both get lost?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and I do have to give kudos to Izzy. I feel like she shows up at this challenge and makes a quick calculation with Jack there about, we know there's a team behind us. If we work together on this challenge and ensure that we both get out of here together, we pretty much guarantee that neither of us are going home. I have to say that I like that strategy when it comes to a challenge here. Jack didn't like the idea. He was like, no, we'll work on our own. And I do have to say that maybe because of how they seem to be holding information away from them at the pot, going all the way back to the fountain stage, that maybe that's why you felt like, well, you didn't want to work with me before. Why do you want to work with me now? I don't know.
I don't know.
Survival is huge here. Like, you've got to be able to survive this challenge, right?
Yeah.
Well, from here, we see a couple of memes I thought that were interesting. Of course, we got I thought I hacked the system, but the system hacked me. Amazing Race is doing a killer job with the memes lately with our season and this season. Like, they're nailing it. I love Izzy here is going, I hate this. I hate this. I'm trying not to hate this. Like, super, super hilarious. From there, they've got to go check in, and they're going to Prapratno Cove. This is, I think, going to be more majestic if it wasn't so overcast of an area. This is definitely a beachy, kind of scene. They're met by that, deep sea diver here.
So cool.
I don't know. Phil is hilarious to me. Like, he greets these teams as they're running in, and we just get such a variety of different kinds of check-ins. Eric and Tucker, again, everyone that's playing the drinking game, let's go at home, is drunk and not even seeing them make the check-in by this point. But who surprised you the most in this leg?
Well, we got to give it to Christine and Rabina telling Phil that they hope Izzy and Paige win.
Oh, that was right. Like, big dig.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And like, also, it messed with Phil. And messing with Phil is the best.
Well, I feel like Phil had a certain expectation of what he expected the answer was going to be when he asked the question.
Yes,
and you could see that he was not.
He was like,
wait, what?
What I think was so interesting, we're on the mat with Phil for 10 minutes and he's asking us questions, and we're talking, we're going back and forth, and then what you see on air is just like this little snippet. But he is so good at, well, what about this, and how did you do that, and I heard this, and like, he is just firing, and I'm like, are we still playing? Like, he is like nonstop with these questions. He is so good at it. It's effortless for him, and it's always fun to see what makes the actual episode. But there was lots more banter with all of these teams. That's fun.
Yeah.
I vouch for that too.
Yeah.
Well, they used to publish the unedited mat chats to the website, and
really?
And watch them. And a couple of seasons ago, we had one where he tried to make the same exact joke with about 4 different teams.
Oh,
so you watched all these,
and you're seeing it land differently,
and you're seeing it fail every single time. And it's really fun to get a little bit more from the teams in that moment. So I wish we had more extras like that online. I don't know if they're even doing it this season.
Oh, man.
This season's weird for a lot of reasons, and like, we're getting a little bit less of that kind of thing, unfortunately.
Well, I feel like we're not getting a lot of promotion. Like, I know that we're not seeing nearly as many press picks teased out ahead of the episode as we're used to seeing. I mean, luckily.
On the other hand, they've got twice as many viewers this season because that Big Brother bump is real.
Huge.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's incredible. It's exciting.
The evidence of Big Brother plays this game differently. It's been frustrating me as a fan because I'm one of those old school OG fans of The Amazing Race where I'm like, these are the rules of the race, and it's not being followed. And like, part of me is like irked by that because I'm like, I need to teach you, this is how you should do it. But then I'm amazed at how they're teaching me.
Oh yeah.
That like, there's no right way to run the race.
There's so many different ways to play this game. Yeah.
And I'm also learning that BB fans are crazy. Like, again, and maybe this is the boomer in me, but I didn't understand what Twitter standing, I guess, is or was. And BB fans lean into this heavily. And so I didn't realize that, like, you have to show your fandom of a certain team that you're a fan of by hating on everybody else. And so, like, I'm in chat BCC trying to, like, manage things. Everyone needs to get along. Like, this is okay, you know, and I'm getting tomatoes thrown at me and I'm like, what is going on? Like, I don't get it. But I realize that it's just a different way to be a fan of the show. But what I'm loving this season is that there's people watching The Amazing Race for the very first time ever.
Yeah.
And maybe loving this format. And maybe now they're going to go back and watch our season or previous seasons. And hopefully we don't lose them just because they're not BB people, you know? What has been your feeling, Angela, about you're now experienced both platforms? They're very different shows. I want to hear, like, what do you feel like the nuances are that you like or don't like? But then also, how do you feel a responsibility to the two fandoms? Like, how are you going to serve two masters when one fandom wants one thing out of you and another fandom wants the other thing out of you? Like, is Amazing Race going to be that redheaded stepchild that just doesn't get a lot of attention? Or, like, what's your thoughts here?
Well, for me, going on Big Brother was, I always am just going to live in the moment. I'm going to be as completely unscripted as possible. I'm going to feel all the feels and I'm going to show it. I don't have a poker face most of the time. I have to really work at that. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm thinking, which is always not the best thing to do. It's kind of kicked the butt a couple times, but I knew going into The Amazing Race, I was probably going to be just as authentic. And that's what you're just going to get from me every single time I do anything. I'm just going to live in the moment and shoot from the hip. Do I care about the cameras? No. Do I care about what people think about me? No, I don't. I'm just going to go in there and just be me and feel it and live. Like, I feel like anything I put myself, anything Lexi does either, I think, or as well, I feel like both of us have the same personality that way. We're going to just go for it. And however that looks is however that looks. I had no feelings of responsibility either way. Even when I did Big Brother, I have cameras around me 24/7. I don't care. I'm not looking at the cameras all the time, talking to them. I'm not worried about my hair and my makeup. I'm going in there and I'm living my life. I'm trying to win. Same with Amazing Race. Everything that came our way or hit us, it was just authentic in how we felt and what we did. Very different platforms for sure. Big Brother, you have all day to contemplate things, think about things, get in your head. When you're in Amazing Race, you're on the clock. It's go, 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 go all the time. And so there wasn't a lot of time for, too much. Unfortunately, they didn't show a lot of fun things that I got to do. I fed the family. Like, I went into a convenience store. He said the bathroom was locked, couldn't use it. We didn't have a lot of money to spare. Guess what? I just got talking to him. I got that bathroom key. Everybody got to go to the bathroom. I got sandwiches, coffees, everything, whatever I wanted for free for everybody. Like,
okay, I have to say that when we had Taylor and Kylan on our show for episode 2, they were tooting the horn of how Queen Angela runs things.
Oh, really?
Like, they told that story about how you guys showed up and, like, got free coffees and free breakfast, pastries and everything. Like access to, it was amazing.
And I was just down, if you stay with me, let's work together because I'll feed you.
I'll take care of you.
I'm hungry.
And didn't you apply for The Amazing Race before you were on Big Brother?
Say that again. Sorry.
Didn't you apply for The Amazing Race first before you applied for Big Brother with you and your son, right?
So I've always been trying to apply for either Survivor or Big Brother. I love CBS freaking shows, by the way. I love them all. And I did try for Big Brother prior to trying for Amazing Race, but I did try for Amazing Race with my son, yes. And this was before I went in the Big Brother house.
Okay.
And we did get a little bit we got a little, in leadway in the casting process, but we didn't go all the way. They chose another mother and son that were so deserving to watch that season. They chose them over us, which was fine because it was amazing watching them.
Love it. Jess, I want to ask you, this is not the first time we've seen Big Brother teams cross over into the Amazing Race fandom, right? Or into
not
this
by a
format.
lot. Yeah.
What's been exciting, new, different? Like, what about this season do you feel like is been so why are people tuning in so much? I don't.
Well, I think it's the number of Big Brother teams. And it's kind of becoming about Big Brother. They're coming in with pre-existing relationships. Like, you had the Angela and Tucker thing, for example, which even I knew about that. And I'm like the most casual of casual Big Brother people. And you have, Izzy, Izzy versus Jag. Yeah. Yeah. And so people are intrigued by the beef, and they're also intrigued by, there's somebody on this cast for everybody.
Yeah.
If you bring on like a Brendan and Rachel, you will get the Brendan and Rachel stans, but you will not get their haters for the most part, except for when they dip into your podcast to tell you that you are being too nice to Brendan and Rachel, which that was my season 24 experience. Yeah, and we experienced a little bit of a bump like that with the reality showdown when we had some Big Brother and Survivor.
Yep.
Yeah. Right. But this is different because this is really focusing in on that. And I think they've done it in such a smart way, because if it was all Big Brother, if it was every single team was Big Brother, Big Brother, Big Brother, that becomes a lot for those of us who are Amazing Race people first. Yeah. But here, the loved ones have been the big surprise. The loved ones are some of the most entertaining and dynamic people on the season. And they've done such an amazing job of casting. I think we're holding on to that audience. But the people that really love Big Brother are getting enough Big Brother in their Amazing Race to keep them interested as well.
Yeah,
I think you nailed it.
Good, Jessica. I love that.
Yeah, I feel like the people that were most upset because they're like, oh, these Big Brother people are taking away chances of us getting on the show. The fact that they're able to bring on these loved ones in much the same way, like Survivor has that loved one thing that's now gone away. We haven't seen it in 10 seasons or something, right? Yeah. It's so fun to be able to see these people connecting with someone from their lives that means something more than a show does. Yeah. And that's the real relationship dynamics that the Amazing Race is so good at putting to the test. And I think if it was just a bunch of Big Brother people that have casual relationships with each other that might stem from spending a summer together, that is going to be one level of interesting. But when you bring in these lifelong connections and relationships and throw them in the Amazing Race format, like that gives us.
But even doing that, you would think, like, because there are a couple sisters, you'd think sisters, I don't have sisters, so I'm just assuming I see them being bratty and catty to each other. And in this, there's none of that. There is like support and love. And so I'm like, oh, it's going to be juicy between like brothers and sisters and even boyfriend. I'm like, no, everyone's getting along for the most part. But I'm thinking like there's going to be extra drama, but there's not with these loved ones. And these loved ones are like shining. And it's so fun to see them. Like it's been such a fun season. I love it.
Well, let's look forward to what has episode 7. So we do have a little bit of teaser, not much. I'm kind of disappointed, Paramount Press. I feel like there needs to be some more. But this is what we've got so far. One picture, a headline, a storyline. So the episode title is It Feels Like Falling the Whole Time. And it says team skydive through clouds of Romania. Nice. And one team is forced to play catch up after struggling during a sheep herding challenge on the Amazing Race Wednesday, November 5th. And then even a little bit here, it says they're going to skydive through the clouds. One team is forced to play. Oh, they just resaid that. I thought there was.
Yeah. So I just rewatched one of these seasons. And again, Jess, I can't remember which one, but it was with the wrestlers. And they had some kind of a sheep herding where they were like doing, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's going to be right here. This is what they're redoing this stuff, this kind of a challenge. It's going to be so fun. But I don't know. You can never rely on animals.
Never work with animals or children.
Oh man.
Thoughts as we go out of this episode. We're halfway through the season, right? This is 6 episodes in. We know we have 12 episodes, and 12th will be our finale. You all in? You loving it? Are you? I mean,
love.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And just at the point that we touched on, about there being a loved one with a big brother person. It's so fun to see that dynamic play out, and the love and the support, and not a lot of drama. I think it's fun to see positivity instead of the drama too. Contrary to what everybody might think, I'm not drama all the time. Like I have a family, I have friends for over 30 years. I'm a big lover too. I just call it out like I see it sometimes, and sometimes I'm not wrong. But as far as it goes, I'm enjoying it so much. I am an amazing fan. Wanted to participate on it before getting the opportunity to actually audition for it. And mind you, we did have to audition for it. It wasn't like we're picking you and you if you say yes. It wasn't like that. We literally had to go through the audition process, and it was grueling, and there was a lot. And I know that there were other teams that were on standby, and it wasn't a sure-in for Lexi and I, or anybody for that matter. So just know that it wasn't just like it was just handed to you and you got it. Like you had to work for it.
Jess, thoughts about the season?
I think the season has exceeded my expectations by a lot, and I've really had a lot of fun with it. And I love having a slightly bigger audience. I mean, you have to, right? And I love how many, like, on the whole, like, there's been some friction a little bit, like you see a little bit of it on Chat BCC, but on the whole, the fans have been really, really great. They've been fun. They've been supportive. They've been engaging. They're not just hating. I haven't gotten a single threat, so yay. But it's been such a good. It feels like it gave the franchise a shot in the arm, which it kind of needed. Every season of Amazing Race has something to love about it, but I think we could use a little extra energy here. And Romania, I think maybe like travel, the actual specifics of where they go and what they do there, it's kind of low on everybody's list of things they love about the Amazing Race, except for me, because I am a travel geek and we've not been there since I think season 14. So it's very exciting.
Yeah. So it's fun to be able to get back to some of these places that we haven't visited frequently, like France. It seems we go to about every season.
Switzerland.
But to be able to go back to a place like Romania, and here I see skydiving, and I know logistically there's probably 2 flights, right? You're going to get 3 teams up in one, 4 teams up another. So here's a built-in equalizer, I think, in this leg design that's going to bunch things together, and I think it's going to make for some more excitement. And so I can't wait to tune in. I'm excited to see where things go. So well, guys, I appreciate
before you end, Scott, Jess, do you think they're going to do this kind of a format with Survivor and a loved one? And do you think they're going to do this big brother and a loved one again sometime, season 43 or 45 or something in the future? Do you think they're going to answer both of those questions? What you think?
Well, I don't think we're moving toward a Netflix cinematic universe version of this where everybody is from another show. But I do think they'll have it in their back pocket. I think it would be different to have a Survivor situation.
I agree.
It would, because Survivor is such a different show and it's so far already out of your element that I have difficulty thinking about how that would play out. But with the success of Big Brother, I think we could see, I'd be more inclined to say we're going to see another reality showdown season where we have teams from all the different but they want to bring in some tough as nails people too. That would be pretty epic too.
Especially with Bill's connection, right?
Oh yeah.
That would be hilarious. Wow. Well, I think that we have a lot of excitement ahead of us. I can't wait to, be able to finish out this season, talk about all the excitement that's going to come. What I love is seeing these teams in LA for the premiere. Clearly had experienced this, couldn't talk about the details of it, but they're still a very loving family. They seem to still be there for each other. They're supporting each other. And I feel like that's what I love about the Amazing Race fandom, is that there's this sense of, we got your back no matter what's going on. And I love that. And I appreciate you guys taking the time to have our backs, Lori's and mine, by being guests on our podcast this week, because we really, really love the Amazing Race. And I think it's just, so much fun. So thank you guys for the time.
Thank you.
Thank
about
you.
This fun thing.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll say goodbye.